Now, dividing terms is done the same way that multiplying is, except we are now dividing instead of multiplying. So with multiplying, we multiply the coefficients together. So you may be able to guess that in dividing, we're going to divide the first coefficient by the second coefficient. Okay, so we divide the first coefficient by the second coefficient. This is done using our basic understanding of dividing numbers, or basic dividing of numbers. Okay, just like you've done for many years already, you've done dividing of numbers. So we're going to do it the same way. Okay, just like we multiplied the coefficients, now we're going to divide. But we're always going to take the first one and divide by the second one. The second step that we're going to do is we're going to divide the variables. That's where we're going to divide the variables. This is going to be done by subtracting the exponent of the first common variable by the exponent of the second variable, or the one that is common to it. Okay, so we're going to, again, just like we did with our exponent laws, which we've just gone through. Okay, we're going to subtract the exponents because we're dividing. Okay, but we can only do it if they're like bases or like variables. We can't do it if they're unlike variables. Now, just as a little bit of a heads up again, a division statement can be written as a fraction with the first term on top, also known as the numerator, and the second term on the bottom, also known as the denominator. And so if we see it in a fraction, we're doing the top divided by the bottom. Let's take a look at a few examples. First example here, 18 divided by 3. Well, this should be one that you do recognize as being one of those basic division statements. We're just taking two numbers and we're dividing. 18 divided by 3 is 6. Okay? 18 divided by 3 is 6. The second one here, we have x cubed divided by x. The coefficients are both 1, so it's 1 divided by 1, which is 1, so no coefficient. The variables, we have x cubed divided by x. Same base, different exponents, so we take the exponents. 3 minus 1 is equal to 2. So our answer is going to be the same base again, to the power of 2, x squared. Okay, we subtract our variables. Next one here, we have, now we're dealing with a little bit more. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put it into two separate statements here. We're going to take the first one. The first one is going to be 14 over 2. 14 divided by 2 is 7. So our coefficient is going to be 7. The next statement that we're going to do is our variables. And we have g to the fourth over g squared. Now again, it's a division statement with the same base, and so we're going to take the top one, subtract the bottom one. 4 minus 2 is 2. So now we have our coefficient and we have our variables. And so all we're going to do here is we're going to put them together and we get 7g squared as our answer. Okay, 7g squared is our answer. I'm going to move this actually over here and take the answer and put it back up over here. 14 divided by 2 is 7. G4, G2, G squared. Next one here deals with a little bit more. We have a whole bunch of numbers here. And so what we're going to do is we're going to have three separate statements. Okay, we have a number, we have x's, and we have y's. With the number, it's going to be 10 over 2. And that's going to be 5. So 10 over 2 is 5. So our coefficient is going to be 5. The next thing that we're going to do is we're going to do our x's. We have x cubed, and in the second one, we don't have anything. So we're going to call it 1. That doesn't change our x at all. So it's still going to be x cubed. In our final one, okay, now we're going to take our y's. We have y to the fourth over y cubed. Now again, it's a division statement, same base, and so this is just going to give us y all by itself. So that is our three pieces, our constant, our x, and our y. So what we have then is we're going to put it all back together. We have 5 as our coefficient. The x cubed does not change because we didn't divide by any other x's, and the y is just now y. So we do it 3 separate times here. I'm moving down just a little bit so we have a bit more room. Okay, 3 separate statements, and it gives us one complete answer because we're taking a monomial and dividing by a monomial. Now, again, if this is a monomial, whatever the first term is now, that's how many terms we'll have in our final answer. Next one here, there's a negative in front, just tells us that actually the whole thing is going to be negative. So once we find our final answer, it's going to be negative. But we have 3 separate parts inside, so we're going to ignore the negative right now. We have 3 separate parts inside. We have a number, an x, and a y. So we're going to have 3 separate parts here. It's got a little bit of a nicer color here. We're going to do yellow. All right, so the first one is 8 over 4, and that equals 2. And then our next one, we're going to do x to the power of 6 over x to the power of, should be a 5. And now because we have 6 minus 5, we're just going to have x all by itself. And then final one, we're going to have y to the power of 7 over y to the power of 5. And that is y squared. Okay, so our 3 pieces, 2x and y squared. When we put them all together, we're going to get them all together. Now we have to remember there's a negative in front, so this whole thing is still negative, has not changed. 2xy squared. Now if you want to think of the negative as being part of it, you can put it to the 8. Okay, put it on top. We're going to then have negative 8 divided by 4. We get a negative answer. There's only one negative, not 2. There's only one. Okay, so we have to make sure that we don't add another negative on there. All right, your assignment, or part of your assignment that I want you to work on right now, is questions 1 through 4. Okay, that's all just on dealing with dividing a monomial by a monomial, or dividing one term by a second term.